Do you want to take this and do this?
Then join me, Terrence Irvin, Parish Program Coordinator for the Great Ascension Trash Bash, held on March 26th through the 31st. There will be a Trash Bash Award ceremony on Saturday the 31st at 11 a.m. at the Ascension Chamber of Commerce in Gonzales.
There'll be food, prizes, and fun for the whole family. Bring the kids, bring your family, bring your friends. But most of all, bring your love for this parish. That's the Great Ascension Parish Trash Bash. Let's clean it up together.
Thank Terrence Irvin for advertisement on the Trash Bash. And we'd like to call the meeting of the Strategic Planning Committee, February 26, 2007, to order. The invocation will be given by Mr. McConnell.
Oh, dear Lord, thank you, thank you, thank you. The glorious weather that you have given us today in the last few days. We are so enjoying it. It's almost it's like the time of rebirth, of renewal, things coming out anew, and we're just enjoying it so much, and we're so thankful for it. Thank you also for the blessings that you have given to us, that you continue to give us. Please continue the blessings that you bestow upon us as we do what is in the best interest of your people. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cinnamon, we have everyone present. We'd like to announce for everyone on the public comment period, if you wish to have something to say on the agenda, please send up a speaker card. Number 4, I'm sorry, before we get there, I'd like to ask for a 2/3 vote on, Mr. Stewart would like to give an update.
Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a
Update on what?
update on the fire hydrant ordinance that the fire departments are trying to propose. We have a motion by Mr. Lambert, second by Ms. Fontenot. Any opposition? Okay, we're going to put that at 6A. All right, number 4, we're going to pass on number 4. Mr. Keller just called about an hour ago, and unfortunately he has a bout with things that everyone had been experiencing lately, and had to go to the doctor, and so he won't be here tonight. We'll put that on the agenda next month, Senator. Number 5, consideration of amendment to develop code tables to consider amending Table B, site requirements by district residential minimum front setbacks on corner lots, cul-de-sac, and turnarounds. Mr. Howard. Dalton. I told you I was going to say Dawson.
Mr. Chairman, lady and gentlemen of the committee, I was asked to come in here today to replace Mr. Brock, who's out with a bereavement issue in his immediate family, which we all extend to him our sincerest condolences. I also happen to be on the Board of Adjustment. I guess that's why I got tagged for this. We have a lot of issues come before this board involving T-intersections or T-turnarounds, little cul-de-sacs and things like this, wherein the unique shape of the intersection, it's not really an intersection, it's really a turnaround, has an adverse effect on the use of the land for certain specific lots where the building setback line is involved. So this particular change would involve specifically certain select lots, T intersections, not intersections, but T cul-de-sacs, turnaround, this kind of thing, where the landowner is unjustly penalized or restricted in land use or effective land use with a 25-foot building line. The Lance and the staff are recommending in those specific instances that it be reduced to half of that, 12.5 feet. I think you're, do you have this packet that they provided or no? I don't know. Yeah, if you do, at the bottom.
Table B, is that what you're referring to?
It's item 3. It's table B.
Okay.
It deals with mixed use, crossroads commercial, RM, medium intensity rural, and conservation. And it would be sub-item 3 there below, and it would actually read front building setback and front setback there. I want to cut it in half for those specific lots because just would grant good land usage and reduce the number of variances that are being requested at the Board of Adjustment level. Are there any questions?
Mr. Parrington,
Yeah,
would
let
you
me
like
add
to
to
make
this.
comments from legal?
This was a recommendation that I actually got with Lance and made. When you run into a T turnaround, especially what you were looking at is you'd have a building line like this, and then you'd have this little T turnaround, and you'd have to push the building line back for that. Plus, it's also on corner lots where you have double setbacks and on cul-de-sacs where you're actually pushing the property back. So this is probably 50 to 60% of the variances that come before the variance board, and they're granted. You know, we grant them. So rather than just make somebody come before the variance board, we were asking to add that
Mr.
to the
Chairman,
table.
motion to send to the full council for enactment of this revised ordinance.
We have a motion by Mr. Barringer, second by Mr. Lambert to send to full council as requested. Any opposition?
Just a note, this was a unanimous recommendation from planning. Okay. That's good. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
Any opposition? So moved, and we will put it on the council agenda at the next meeting.
Thank you.
And, well, we will recommend that.
Have a good night.
Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you very much for coming and explaining that. Number 6, regulation for renting Ascension Parish-owned buildings. Ms. Cheryl Kitchen, welcome.
Good evening. I think all of you had received a packet that gave you the regulations and the checklist for renting our facilities. And then you should have a packet that gives you the revisions that we would like to make. Any questions?
How many revisions? We just got the package. And
Yeah, first time we see it.
it's
right
the first
now.
time we actually see it.
Could you please brief us on this? Because
Sure.
we have just sat down
Okay,
and
if you look
received
at this document,
Okay.
okay, the one we're going to be looking at, number 4, 5.
Regulation for renting buildings?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to be addressing 4, 5, 6, and 9. So if you look at the second document, the first one is to modify the requirement of the $1 million liability policy for all functions held at our facilities.
That's number 3. Number 4.
You say modified to what this year?
Well, if you look, when we have baby showers, if you look down where it says A, insurance required, B, no insurance required, this is what we would like to go to because we require the same policy of someone who's trying to have a Boy Scout meeting, a family reunion, and we just don't think that we should be charging those people for the liability policy when their homeowners usually covers them at those types of events. And if you look below, we kind of rationalized the alcohol use, and we really don't want that to change. We still want it to be, if you use our facility and you plan on having alcohol, we still want you to get the $1 million liability. You still have to get security through the sheriff's office, and you have to get their certification that you have been to their office and secured all of their paperwork. And we think that will cover us on the alcohol events. If you look down on 1E, you can see that the minimum insurance is $105. So we increased by $105 the rental for something that we charge $75 for. So we just would like for that to change because we think we could lease our facilities more and make them more user-friendly and more accessible to our public. We've lost the Boy Scouts in the last few years. We lose any kind of civic organization that doesn't really have any kind of a fund base. And so I would like to see that go back to more of a community center mentality. We also want to delete the requirement of the $250 damage deposit. And if you read the rationale there as well, you can see that we are required by law to deposit all monies at the end of every day, which makes it very difficult when we lease a facility and we hold a check for the deposit. So then we have to deposit the check. If that contract falls through or they decide not to get it, then we have to go through the process again of getting them back the deposit. So we felt like this was something that we didn't really need. And then we also wanted to delete the requirement of the $25 key deposit. That has not worked in the past. We end up changing locks all the time, so a $25 key deposit doesn't really assure us that our facility is secure. So, questions and/or concerns?
Mr. Lambert.
I have a question for Mr. O'Neill on the liability.
This is the first hearing of it. I'd have to.
I have to look
You'd have to
into it.
refer it. Let me look at it.
You know,
a
she's
little
saying
bit.
that the homeowner's policy, their homeowner's policy would cover that. So
It may cover them, but it wouldn't cover the parish.
that's something we have to look at. You know, before
Well,
I
of course,
vote on it.
anything that you decide, would have to go through legal muster. But those are things that we would like to see because it hinders the leasing of the facility. Of course,
And just a background before we go any further, we have had a number of our facilities that have been, we've noticed in the past few years have gotten to be leased less and less, and people have found out that the insurance requirements, all the requirements that it takes to do that, it just made it where the public is not getting an opportunity to use this, and which is the reason for us having it, is to have them being used. So they've been revisiting these things, and of course, this is the first time we've had a chance to see it. So, Mr. McConnell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was involved in when a lot of these regulations here were changed, and several of these changes were the results of real incidents that happened. For instance, there was a shooting death at a party, and it was not by an invitee of the party, but there was a shooting death at a parish facility, and there was a lawsuit that involved the parish, and the parish was out a great deal of money settling that lawsuit. Now, maybe some of our reactions were knee-jerk in that they, before we had no regulations, and then we put in some really stentorian regulations, and that may have gone farther than we had intended. But I know that we were having a great deal of problem with people tearing up the properties. And $25 may not guarantee that the facility is secure and it'll get the key. But $25 to me is a lot of money, and if I wanted my $25 back, I'd make damn sure that I got you your key back.
Yeah, and returning the keys not really been a problem. But as I said, these are just things we would like for y'all to address. And I mean, we're not telling you how to word it. These are just things that we would like for you to address because we find that they've hindered. And obviously, Councilman, the $25 key is not the most prohibitive cost, but we would just ask that you look at those particular things on rules and regulations and come up with what you think is appropriate.
Yeah, the suggestion was made that we go ahead and just send this to legal, and maybe we're a little premature. Maybe
absolutely.
I think perhaps we need to hash this out. If you're
Sounds
experiencing some difficulties, that certain modifications can be made because these are public facilities. They belong to the people of Ascension Parish, and so certainly we want the people of Ascension Parish to be able to avail themselves of them and be able to use them at a reasonable cost. But there are also professional assembly places out there that we don't want to be in competition with. either. You know, we don't want to be in competition with private enterprise. But we want to make these things available to the public, but we also want to protect the public as well and protect their investment in these properties, because there was just wanton destruction at a lot of these places. And that's why a number of these things were put in, is because we were experiencing so much of that, and I guess we had nothing in place before.
Right, and you're right. We did need something in place, and I know the incident of which you speak. And again, we don't want you to send anything to legal without discussing and, you know, putting your giving us your feedback. But these are just things we would like for you to address. And then as the legislative body,
I think I would
go
like
from here.
what you've included here were your recommendations of what you would like to change.
Right,
I'd
just
like
things,
to-
and we're not. We just kind of gave some wording and tried to give some rationale. This is in no way meant to be a finished product, but these were just the issues.
Well, of course,
as I said,
and that's
if
what
you-
this committee is all about.
Right,
And
so that's
I
where
would
we
like
started.
to, you know, having been caught cold with this, is first time that we've seen it, and I guess maybe you weren't aware of that. I'd like to take this home and just
Sounds
read
good.
it and chew on it and just bring it up at another strategic planning before we submit it to legal. Let's try to come up with something
Well, that-
semi-final.
That's
Before
what we were hoping
before
you
we
would
give
do.
it to our legal counsel.
And again, it was 4, 5, 6, and 9, and 9 only with regard to E with the key. We didn't really want to get rid of all of 9, but I didn't know if I had asked you to star those items.
Somebody
so,
put a check on them.
yeah. So your input is welcome, but we just wanted to make you aware of that as the legislative body over strategic planning.
Well, my recommendation, I'm not going to make a motion to that effect, but my recommendation, Mr. Chairman, was that we take this under advisement and revisit it at the next strategic planning meeting. Because is there a sense of urgency here?
Oh, no,
Sharon?
we can continue to
Okay, we just
operate
wanted
as
to
we
bring
are.
this forward as a first step, and one of the things I think Ms. Kinchin was talking about is we've lost things like the Boy Scout, you know, little groups, small groups.
Right, yeah. I mean, we want to
things
make
like
it
that.
available. We want it,
And-
Yeah.
the
and-
groups
and those
like
are
that.
the type of things that we can get off of the major. We've been categorizing them as the same thing as a big dance, all-night dance, or a big, large, huge wedding reception, and so we
Maybe
need to
just
put-
fine-tuning and maybe a little bit more specifics with regard to what,
Sure.
that kind of a thing. But as I said, we just wanted to get your input. So.
Okay, that's it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I just wanted to say that since Ms. Kinchin has everything outlined about what she's looking to change, that maybe it ought to just be given to legal and let legal tell us what can be and what can't be off of her papers.
May
There's
I-
no point in us going to try to figure something out, then sending it to legal. Legal's here and understands what we're trying to do, so then maybe he could review it and give us a feedback of what we can accept and what we, you know.
May I interject here?
Yes.
I did have been in contact with legal just to let Sandra and Ricky know that we were addressing this. So, I mean, they are aware that we're trying to do this. So they are
I
also.
mean, have they had any questions about what I'm saying about the things that you're trying to do? Whether they had any questions about it or not, or have you given it to them to put it in their legal terms that we would be protected?
Well, I had the same concern that this gentleman voiced to make sure that we weren't opening ourselves up for more
Right.
liability. So really, when I sent it to legal, it was, is this something that we can do? Am I going through the right channels? Am I following the right process? So, you know.
What I would suggest we'll do is that we'll take this information and chew on it for a
Okay.
while.
And legal
And-
can chew on it, too.
And at the same time, we would like to ask that, Ms. Sherry, if you get a meeting with legal, either Mr. Babbitt or Mr. Parrington,
Okay.
and work on different things that their concerns. And then as we go, I would like to ask that anyone on this committee would forward to Ms. Kinchin some of their concerns, that
Okay.
they can then rewrite maybe some of the things that they would wish, and then at the next meeting, we can come back with a revised copy.
Okay.
And Ms. Kinchin, if you could get it to us maybe 3 or 4 days ahead of time.
My
where-
apologies for that.
Where we could take a look at it all week or so. and then we could have some.
And also, if there's any information you need regarding the leasing of any of the facilities, patterns, or that kind of thing, feel free, and I will try to get that material to you as well.
And we're going to get Mr. Barriga in a second, but I would really encourage people to call Ms. Kinchin and talk to her about the things that are going on, because I think she has a pretty good handle on things, and she can supply us with a lot of information that we really don't know. Mr. Barriga.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Kinchin, can you go through the rationale of the changing the deposits? I was reading another section, and I was halfway listening. And
we have a policy in the parish to turn in money at the end of every business day, so we can't really hold money. And traditionally what we had done in the past was hold a deposit check until the event had finished and then just return the check. We can't do that. So we're asking people to give us $250 plus a third of the contract price of leasing and their tulip policy and their, so it was just an expense that we're holding on to this check. The way it would stand now is I would take the $250 check, deposit it in with the parish, and then if that event didn't go through, then I would have to petition to get the check back, and the person waits for their, so we just felt like we don't really, I mean, we get a check for the contract price up front, so we don't really feel like we need the $250 deposit. I mean, we get a check for whatever we're leasing the facility for. So it seems to me if I lease a facility, say the Ascension Civic Center for $750, and I write you a check for $750, that's going to assure that I'm going to either come and use the event or I'm going to get my money back. I don't think that I need to write the $250 check for a deposit. But again, those were just some things that we were thinking in some of our rationale. As the legislative body, those are the kinds of things that you would kind of bat around amongst yourselves and come up with a policy that you feel is fair and inclusive, and
now,
we're
my
just bringing you our
understanding is
concerns.
the $250 is a damage deposit, not a retention deposit.
No, if you look at the original, we keep $100 for a damage deposit. I can tell you since I've been the recreation director, I've not kept a single penny for damages. I did
That's
keep
'cause it
damages
cost
in a park.
Because nobody's renting anymore. You just said that.
Well, they're renting, but not at the rate they should be. And mainly what we want to do is basically what you said, Councilman McConnell, is we really want to make our community centers to a large degree. And at some point we would like to have people be able to come in and use them after school, after work, and not even have that fee, just make them accessible. Of course, that may be down the line, but I think the way to get people to use our centers is for them to see them, and that maybe the leasing policy will help. You may find as a body that you don't want to change it.
Right.
So that's up to you as the legislative
The policy
body.
of not being able to hold on to a deposit check, is that a state policy or is that a parish policy?
I think it's a finance department policy that I'm following. And I think that's just to be responsible with money. I mean, so, but we don't do it anymore.
That's it. Thank you, Mr. Schaefliner. Thank you, Ms. Kent.
Any other questions or comments? And O'Neill, is one of the things Councilman Fontenot has shared with, can you look into whether there can be some kind of way we can take deposits as a check and have that in some type of separate?
I don't mind doing it, but if Ricky's already working on it, that's what you said. It's
Okay,
already been
well-
sent to Ricky.
I sent it, through legal by way of his
Sandra.
paralegal, Sandra.
Okay.
But I can definitely check on the status if you'd like and see.
And if there's a way to modify that we can have some form, either a check or a credit card or something that we can put on hold until the event is over, that might make it simpler.
Okay.
That's what I was going to ask Ken, if you could get us the policy that, that states that we can change policies. That's what the legislature does. And one of the things that we could change just for certain things like the community centers, that when you take a deposit, if it's a check or a credit card, something that's not cash. Obviously, if you have cash, you need to deposit it right away. You don't hold on to that. But most places that I've gone to, like if I've gone to the KC building or something to put a deposit, they hold your check and then tear it up at the end if everything's okay.
That would be a finance department.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Can
I
you
don't.
get us a copy of the policy and let us review it, because maybe we can do something.
Yeah, that would be. Could you
I don't think it's
request?
a policy. I think it's a requirement that the monies cannot, because I know that was one of the concerns addressed by by our auditing firm, was that funds were being held for certain periods of time, and the governments are not allowed to hold funds. They have to be deposited on a daily basis.
Yeah, let's not speculate. Let's just let
Well, yeah,
legal tell
and
us.
I would feel uncomfortable even approaching something in the finance department, since that's not my department or my expertise. So that would be something that you
check on
got.
it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or
Mr.
comments?
Cinnamon, can you make that note to find that out for us?
And Ms. Kinchin, thank you so much for all your work on trying to make our facilities accessible to the public, and we want to continue to try to do that.
Thank you
and
for being so receptive and listening.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Okay, 6A, we have our two-thirds, Mr. Mark Stewart. He's going to give us an update. They've been talking about fire hydrant ordinance to try to expand fire hydrants to some areas that are not currently having them, and we have put this into the hands of the fire departments, and we'd like you to give us an update.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. After the last, I don't think we missed any, after the last strategic planning committee, we had brought the proposal to you of, I believe Lance actually brought that forward for us, of trying to adopt this hydrant ordinance for primarily commercial, industrial, those type properties, which at this time we don't have an ordinance in place for. I had said on myself I had a couple of small things I would like to question with Ricky and see maybe it needed to be changed. Mr. McConnell had asked what some of those was. I kind of went over that, and then y'all had asked for us to get back together and wanted all fire districts to be involved in this process, making sure everybody was satisfied with the final product. To come back to y'all at this meeting with a clean ordinance, and unfortunately a few little issues we had trouble meeting until this past Friday, and I had to leave and go out of town right after the meeting. I wasn't sure tonight if Ricky was going to have this available and ready for y'all, so that's why I came. Obviously it wasn't, but Ms. Shake Schneider asked just, if I'd give a little update, and all three fire districts were represented Friday. Lance was unable to attend. Mr. Babin was there, myself, Gene Wietek with Fire District 1, and Chuck Montero from Donaldsonville Fire District 2. Chuck got tied up, so we tied him in on a phone conference system in Ricky's office. We went over everything, any questions anybody had from any of the fire districts. We went through it item by item on the ordinance. There was a few changes made. Some of them were things I'd mentioned. A couple came from Chuck and or Gene at Fire District 1. We did get them hammered out. It wasn't too difficult. Everybody was in agreement. One thing Ricky had asked was that each of the chiefs or respective fire districts send to him something in writing stating that, they were in agreement with this, they were in attendance at this meeting, and everybody's happy with it. I don't know if everybody's done that yet, but I would certainly hope and believe that by the next time this committee meets, I believe Mr. Babin will have the final draft of the ordinance in place for y'all to review and take action on.
Mr. Mark, I'd like to ask you, as you continue and you come up with what you consider to be your final draft, if you would send it to each of the districts and have a vote of approval by each one, so that they can look at that, and then when you come back, then we'll know that everybody's in approval, and then we can take it, from there to get an idea. That way, everybody knows.
Make sure on it a vote for who?
From each of the fire districts.
Okay. Do you want their
each of them has a board, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do you want their boards or their designee? Or their designees were in attendance at the meeting. Which is the parish coordinator, Gene, myself, and Chuck. But
What you looking at me for?
as long as I know exactly who y'all want to get this affirmative vote or whatever the case is, I will pass that back through Ricky, Lance, or the respective fire districts, and
I just think it's something that, that can have some big implications in each area, and I personally think that each 5 district, their directors should vote on it to decide whether, as a district, that they want it. It's going to give some dialogue, and if they're all on board, then it makes it a lot better for us to move forward in a quicker manner. And if we have some opposition in one area, we may have to go into a different direction, or maybe start it in one area first. So we'll make sure that everyone's on board, because it is going to be, some things that we're going to have to push through.
Yeah, and not to speak on behalf of Ricky, but that was a topic, that I told him based on the last meeting here, some of the concerns, was the entire parish, ready to move forward with this. So, and our recommendation was in each of the 5 districts, and everybody there represented, stated, we agree with the language and everything in it, and then we felt like we'd bring it forward and then let this committee and or the full council take any action as far as, well, we don't feel like it can be implemented in this area yet, or we'll do it in districts, zones, however y'all decide to deal with that.
Yes, Mr.
Y'all did have discussion. It is acceptable to separate it in different areas if we deem one area.
Nobody appeared to have any problem with that. And
I
think for one thing, like, District 2, the area outside of Donaldsonville, their own water district or whatever, they're fixing to install a whole new water system that's going to take care of all their hydrant stuff. This really won't come in, even though it does, it won't affect them really, because they're going to have it done. District 1, obviously, I think is going to be the area, parts of that.
Right.
And it was discussed, and again, there could be some stuff from the council. Our idea would be we'd like to at least see the developers have to put appropriate water mains by size and stub outs for hydrants on their property if they're going to be required. And even though the water system isn't there yet, that when the water system does come in that area, you're not going to be able to go back and get somebody that's grandfathered in and say, okay, time's here, water's, come put your fire hydrants in. Well, no, my building's already here. I didn't have to do it. Not make them maybe bear the cost of running the water to their area, but have the facilities on their property where it would be required in place, so at such time when it does get there. But again, I think that'd be something as this committee and as a full council, y'all would need to maybe decide that if you think it'd be too much of a burden.
That sounds like a pretty fair compromise to me.
So, but that was the agreement. We'll bring it forward that this is for the entire parish, and then we would let y'all as a governing body decide if you felt like it would be too restrictive or too big of a problem in areas. And I don't believe from Ricky that I don't think that would appear that would cause any problems maybe by implementing in districts or zones or areas.
And we know that each 5 district has its own unique situations, and that what applies to one may not apply to the other one, but we would like to do it parish-wide. But if someone's not ready for it, and if they agree and vote on it, it makes it a lot easier for us to move forward, that the fire departments are on board. Then we can move forward on it.
I'll pass that back to them and ask them to have their respective boards deal with it at their next available meeting, and get some type of vote result back so we can have that for you at your next meeting.
And if not, we can move forward with one and then the other ones after. So any other questions or comments? Okay.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Chief.
Number 7, discussion of fireworks ordinance. This was asked to be on agenda by Councilman Hillingsbeck. Yes, that we discussed this. He's not here. Do you have something?
I did some work. Somebody asked me to do some research on it. So basically, the fire marshal's office regulates fireworks in the state. Then each parish, municipality, etc., has the right to regulate what they want in their area, subject to those regulations. And by that, there's some fireworks the state fire marshal says you can't sell in Louisiana. you couldn't allow them to sell it in Ascension Parish. But Ascension Parish could also say, we prohibit the use of fireworks. Or, this is our rules on fireworks. And it's basically y'all decision as to how you want to do that. I can draft an ordinance to whatever way y'all want to say. It's your regulations that you would draft. The bottom line issue is how do you enforce it, no matter which. I don't think you're going to stop people from shooting fireworks. No. If you stop them from selling it here, you're going to just give up the revenue because they're going to go buy them someplace else and shoot them. There's some reasonable restrictions, but the enforcement of it would be pretty difficult because I think anybody that outlaws fireworks still has fireworks shot in their parish.
Yeah. Just to make sure everyone knows what we're talking about, there's 3 areas which he has put on here for us to discuss. Hours of shooting fireworks, sales of fireworks in close proximity to fire hazards, and permits and collection of sales tax, which is already in place. Mr. Barringer.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the 3 subheadings that you just discussed. As far as A goes, we have a disturbance of peace ordinance in this parish now, who the sheriff's department enforces. So as far as hours of shooting, that's already being taken care of by disturbance of peace ordinance. Sales and fireworks in close proximity to fire hazards. Like Mr. Parrington said, we already had the state fire marshal that's over fireworks, and they inspect a fireworks stand when you get a permit. So that's already being taken care of. Permits and collection of sales tax, it's a business. You have to have an occupation license. I don't see where else we need to address this, unless you're just going to do away with it completely, and me and my kids are going to throw a fit. We're going to fight.
Well, they're going to be shot. It's the question of giving up the sales and use tax, because they're going to shoot them. I can tell you that. They're going to shoot them in every other parish in the state.
Ms. Fontenot.
It's a sad day that we're going to continuously make laws for just courtesy.
That's exactly what this is.
If people would just learn to be more courteous. I do understand why some people are calling, and we are getting phone calls and emails about fireworks. And I agree with Mr. Barringer. It's a celebration. It's something we do here in America, and I don't think that we should stop it. But like the hours of shooting, it's unbelievable that people will be shooting fireworks at 2 o'clock in the morning. You can understand Christmas Eve through New Year's Eve or through New Year's Day. So maybe you can set a timeline or something, and even around July 4th. But they continue on sometimes with doing this type of thing for like 2 or 3 weeks. And if you're a shift worker or you people, or people that need their rest and everything, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to have, I know one particular lady called me and she said, we just can't take it anymore. And I had nothing to offer her except to tell her to call the sheriff.
Disturbing the peace.
And that's all you could do. But I mean, maybe if we kind of maybe, at least maybe not in law form, but maybe if we could, through our television, through our APTV, or through advertising, just ask that people be a little more. Because you've got both people. You've got the people that are shooting fireworks that need to know how to give tolerance to the other people, but the regular citizens need to give a little bit too to those that wish to celebrate in this manner, since this is the United States. But as far as I agree. As far as I don't know how else we could do it. It's just to appeal to people to be more kind to one another on both ends.
There was an old ordinance that I found somewhere, not in this parish, where they restricted the shooting of fireworks between June 25th and July 5th, and between December 15th and January 1st. And there was no, in anything other time out of that, it was illegal. It was illegal to shoot them any time after that. I mean, I don't know if that's just putting something down on paper, because outside of those periods, you don't have much fireworks being shot anyway, and it would apply to the disturbing of the peace law. So,
and we had a meeting on some of the things with the sheriff and the fire department recently. I was privy to that meeting, and all of these things that are proposed would still fall under the same thing. Somebody would have to make a report on disturbing of the peace, and the particular thing that Ms. Fontenot was talking about, the ladies called, they also called me, they refused, the sheriff's folks said they refused to file a complaint. And so therefore, whatever law that we pass, if a complaint is not filed, they cannot follow up on it. So we just ask that, you know, I think it's great that people pop fireworks. I echo Ms. Fontenot's concerns that we try to be courteous about it. And if you feel like people are going overboard, go ahead and file a complaint. And the sheriff has assured us that he would follow up on it. So I think we have things in place now. We don't have to create something new. Any questions or comments?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McConnell, seconded by Mr. Lambert. We are now adjourned.